Getting right into today's video, we're going to be starting off by removing my client's current colored acrylic. If you guys are not familiar with this process, we are going to be taking our e-file at a pretty decent speed with a great carbide bit, and we are going to be going to town on these nails. We pretty much are going to be filing down all of that colored acrylic, making it super thin to non-existent so that we can go in and layer a new color for her new design. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that on all of the nails. I pretty much do this at a speed of about 14,000 RPMs, and this bit is medium grit, but you can absolutely go up to coarse grit as well. I absolutely love this bit. It has been my favorite lately. And as always, I'll leave everything linked down below, but I pretty much just go in and start filing, starting at the tip, then I kind of work my way upwards. I move from side to side, up, down, from the center to the top to the bottom, bouncing all over the nail to make sure and ensure that we do not cause any type of heat spikes. So I pretty much go vertically up and down filing, and then I also go horizontally, especially when I'm working more towards that growth area. If at this point I notice any parts being lifted, that is when I would focus on those areas, make sure that I get all of that nice and thin, and be able to either nip it off or file it with my mandrel bit towards the end. So I'm just going to continue to do this until that color is nice and thin. She does get acrylic overlays on her natural nails, so I do have to do this very carefully so that I do not damage her natural nail, even at the tip portion. So I'm going to go ahead and continue that, and then we're going to be prepping that natural nail. Next, I'm going to be taking my mandrel bit and sanding band, both from Profiles Backstage. Now at this point, we're going to put our e-file down at 4,000 RPMs or 3, depending on what e-file you have. Make sure you do not go past that speed, otherwise you can be going a little too fast and it can damage the natural nail. I am using my not polished e-file, so I always keep it at 3,000 RPMs. I'm going to be focusing on that growth. So we are just going to be buffing off the shine from her natural nails, but also I'm going to be removing any lifted areas she may have with this bit. That is just my preference, and highly recommend you guys do the same so that you avoid overfiling using a carbide bit. It can be very easy to do, especially with something so coarse. So definitely recommend stick to your mandrel bit when doing this process. The acrylic now is very thin because I use my carbide bit to begin with, so it will be very easy to remove. Just make sure that you are staying on the acrylic when you are filing off that lifted portion. Again, just buffing off that shine off of the natural nail. And then at this point, you should also be pushing back the cuticle area as well. Her cuticles stay clean and beautiful looking, so I never really have to do anything to her cuticles. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do this. And then I'm going to be taking my diamond bit. This one is one of my favorites as well. It's like a little tapered barrel one. I'm going to be going around that cuticle area just to make sure that I remove any excess dead skin around that area. But again, I stay away from her skin because they always look really, really good and clean. Let me know if you've ever had clients that are like this. They have like the perfect cushioned cuticle. Almost looks like they naturally have like a Russian manicure. It is insane to me, but I think it is so cool to see because I'm pretty sure this is the only client I've ever came across that has her cuticles like this. So let me know down below in the comment section. I'm going to be going in with a lint-free wipe and a little bit of alcohol. I'm going to go in and remove any excess dust, but also dehydrate the natural nail as well. This is what I like to use, but you can always go in with a dehydrator if you prefer. I accidentally forgot to ask if she wanted her nails to be trimmed down, and I remembered right at that moment. So what I ended up doing was asking her, and then I took my mandrel bit and went back in to file the tip slightly to cut down the filing time. Still using my mandrel bit just to not over file her nails with the carbide bit. And then we're going to be going in with my Tammy Taylor peel and stick file to file those sides and start shaping her nails back into almond shape. During this appointment, I'm pretty sure she asked if she should do coffin, and I told her stick with almond. I think they're so freaking cute and very flattering on her hands. So we ended up doing just that. We're going to be filing those sides and kind of going up underneath a little bit on the nail to file it nicely and round. And then I'm also going to be filing slightly over top of the surface of some of the nails if I feel like the acrylic is still a little bit too thick on those areas. I'm going back in and cleaning that surface with the lint-free wipe and a little bit of Young Nail Swipe. Again, just removing the excess dust and dehydrating her nail. Then I'm going to be going in with my primer of choice. My one that I've preferred lately is the Kiara Sky Acrylic Primer. I'm going to be going in with a thin layer. Make sure that you are getting all of the areas that have been exposed from her with her natural nails. So if any little areas have acrylic, you can skip that, but I'm just going in with one nice even layer because some of the parts are a little bit more hard to reach. So I'm just going in one good swipe around the whole nail. And remember, this one is a little bit more on gel consistency, so you're gonna have a little bit better control when it comes to the product and not getting it on to the skin, which is very, very important, especially if you're a beginner nail tech. Now for my acrylic application, we're doing all fall colors. We're doing burnt orange, a beautiful green color, a rust red / brown, and then just a nude color. I'm gonna try to get the colors and link them in the description box, but I will say some of these were custom mixed, so not quite sure if I'll be able to remember the colors that I have done. If you guys are new here or just happen to have forgotten, I used to be the queen of mixing custom colors. So a lot of the time when it comes to colors that are very specific, I have mixes already made. And anytime a client shows me a photo that is very specific, I tend to bring those out, and I think this was one of those occasions. But the green is so freaking beautiful. You can always try out some of the not polished colors. I believe one is very similar to this one. And then for my burnt orange, I know that one for a fact was a custom mix. I took an orange color from Glam and Glitz and I mixed some brown in there as well. So always take into consideration not buying every single color you see online, and instead mix your own. They go a long ways, and especially trying to get every single color is going to be so much money, and a lot of the time they're not going to look like you expect them to look. So I'm just pretty much doing a basic acrylic application on all of these nails, and then we are going to be doing some fun nail art. Now, I did want to quickly mention that for my colored acrylic application, depending on the formula, depending on the brand, I like to mention a lot that I like to use lots of chalky colored acrylics, which essentially is Glam and Glitz powders, and there's a few other ones that I have came across that are also a little bit more on the chalky side, so a little bit harder to work with. I have gotten accustomed to using those because that's pretty much what I started off with when I became a nail tech, but I know it can be tricky and sometimes it's quite annoying to work with. So what I like to do is use small beads to apply it very nice and thin, and then you can go in and add the thickness with clear acrylic. So if you've ever struggled and you just want a nice opaque colored acrylic and slap it on there, you can always just add the thickness with clear. So if it is a struggle to put on there, get a small bead, take the section by section, work your way up, and then go in with your clear acrylic. I promise you, it is so much easier to do that way. I am using first Nude for the nude color that I am applying, and that one is from Not Polish. I'm going to go ahead and finish my acrylic application. I'm showing both hands today, I think for the first time in a very long time, because we did do different color placements, and I just thought it would be kind of fun to see how I manipulate each one of my beads, specifically with those chalky colors. So I hope you guys enjoy that part and seeing all 10 fingers on today's video. Now we're going to be going in and filing these nails. I am taking my e-file with a 5-in-1 bit, and we have it now at about 10,000 RPMs. We're going to be going in and just filing the surface of the nail. I'm doing very minimal filing, specifically because I do try to lay my acrylic nice and smooth. So note that I'm just going around that cuticle area and then lightly filing the surface just to ensure that everything is nice and smooth and there's no crazy ridges or dents. And once I'm done filing the surface, we're going to be going in with my Tommy Tailor peel and stick file, and once again filing those sides and the tip, of course. I'm just going to make sure that I didn't overflow the sides with acrylic, which I tried to keep my eye on when I'm applying my acrylic, but we should still always finish file just to make sure everything is nice and smooth and perfectly shaped. I'm then going to be going in with my buffer, and we're just going to buff the surface to ensure that everything is nice and smooth so that I can go in with my nail art and not have to top coat. Now before my nail art application, I am going to be going in and cleaning the nails. You can always send your client to wash their hands as well, but I just like to go in with a lint-free wipe, a little bit of young nail swipe, go around those cuticles and just ensure everything is super clean so that my nail art goes on there nice and clean as well. Now for our nail art, I know there's going to be a little ghost in this design. However, everything still was so perfect for the fall time. So I decided to still share this. Sometimes if I go overboard with the Halloween nails, I try not sharing those designs, but this is the exception. It's giving fall/Halloween, all the cozy vibes, and I was so excited to do this design. So for our first nail, we're going to be doing stripes. I ended up going in with white gel paint from Veeda along with our long liner. This has been my obsession. I used to always be a short liner girly, and for whatever reason, all the designs that I've been doing lately have definitely been done with our long liner. So make sure you guys check out our products. Our liners are double-sided, so you get 15 millimeters and I believe 20 millimeters on the other side, so you get two options for the price of one. We also have the bundle that comes with the micro detail liner, short liner, and long liner, and again, all of them come with two sides. So we're just going to be doing stripes down vertically. I ended up going in with one down the middle and two down the sides to make it nice and easy for myself, thicken them up a little bit, and of course we're going into the light for a full 60 seconds, specifically with very opaque paints. You want to make sure you are doing a full cure. Now I'm going to be going in with some 3D nail art. These are little pumpkins. I'm using my 3D brush. So stinking cute. I learned how to do these this year and they were just so cute. I was so excited to recreate this. We're going to be doing the first layers of our pumpkin. I like to do the sides to ensure that I have my shape of it and the width of it perfectly. And then we're going to be going in with 2 more on top of those and then one center one. So I'm pretty much just taking it and flattening that out, kind of like a long petal shape. And then we are layering on the second one. I always make sure that I do one side, then the other side, and then go back to the first side that I did, because at that point it will be nice and dry and none of it will run together. So if you try to layer on 2 beads right after the other, they more than likely will kind of blend together and it defeats the purpose of trying to make the little ridges a little bit more noticeable. So now we're going back to the second side. And then we're going to be doing the center, just a nice little long oval shape. And I'm just very easily doing this with my little 3D brush. And then we're going to be adding a stem and a tiny little leaf in that green color that we used. Now, for those of you that may not know, I do TikTok lives with certain sets that I do and show you guys here on YouTube as well. And one of my viewers had asked if I could show liquid to powder ratio when it comes to 3D. So if you guys are struggling with 3D acrylic nail art, I'm here to tell you, unfortunately, there is no liquid to powder ratio, but you do learn it with experience. So the quicker you get, the drier you can work with your beads, but also depending on the details of your design, you're gonna want to either work with a drier bead or a more wet bead. So example being the little pumpkin, I did do a little bit more on the wet side so that it allowed me the time to spread it out and then start flattening it out and it not dry super quick, specifically more so the center one. And then for things like petals or leaves, I already have done those so many times and a lot of the time they are on the smaller side. So I know that I can work with it quickly and I can imprint the little bristles of my brush in there, the drier it is. So there's just so much that goes into it, but that's specifically for 3D. You have to practice and kind of feel what you can work with and go from there. Now for the index finger, we're going to be doing like a plaid style of design. I did end up mixing my gel paints with a little bit of top coat to make them a little bit more on the translucent side on some of the colors. So you'll see me kind of doing that here and there. We're going to be going in with orange tones and green as well. And I tried to mix them or get colors that matched perfectly with the acrylic colors that we had used. And I'm here to tell you, I used the majority of them from Chaun Legends line. They have become my favorite. They're really good formula and they work really well for my nail art. Let me know if you've tried it and let me know your thoughts down below as well. Now for the pinky finger, we're going to be doing a little flower. I started off with the center just to give myself a nice guide for where I want to add my petals. This is just going to be a basic little 3D flower. I'm doing the tiniest little yellow center, and then we're going to be going in with white petals. I grab my little bead, place it where I want it to go, and then with the tip of my brush, I'm pretty much going to put it against that little yellow center and we start pushing away. And you can always angle your brush either to the left or to the right depending on where you want your petal to go. These I do work with a drier bead because I know that I've done these a million times and I'm pretty much a pro at it at this point. So nice and dry bead. You can always add a little bit of acetone into your monomer to speed up the process. But make sure you are only doing that when you are doing 3D acrylic nail art, not for acrylic application. It can mess up the adhesion and the nails will pop off very quickly. So do note, it only is to be used when you're doing 3D. Now for this middle finger, we're going to be doing a little ghost with a beanie. So stinking cute. So for this one, I know for a fact I need to use a more wet bead. So I am getting a nice and wet bead, and it's going to give me the time to kind of work with the product. But I also try to rehydrate my brush bristles quite often while I'm doing this to also extend the time that I have in order to build my little shape. Now I am working in smaller sections and then blending it into each other. That way I don't have to rush the process and I'm able to get the exact shape that I want. So you'll see me kind of adding some here and there depending on what part I'm working on. And then at the end, you try to just kind of smooth everything over and pat it into place so that it looks like one big piece of acrylic that you used. Now, once I'm done with the silhouette of my ghost, I'm actually going to be going in with a little beanie. I'm using that same orange color, and I'm going in just with the like rounded top part. And then I'm adding a tiny little strip for the folded over portion, and we're adding a little fluffy at the top. So I'll let you guys kind of just enjoy and watch this process. Now we're going to be going in with all of our different colors and layers for our plaid nail. Notice that I'm going in with this green color. I did go into the light right after I finished the green colors, and then we're going to be adding more details as well. But every time you're going to be adding a different color, make sure you are curing in between. Now this nail I thought was so beautiful. I did end up top coating it, so sorry for the little spoiler, but my girl is a hairstylist, so I had to pick my battles. And I ended up top coating this nail. This design is so stunning in my opinion. It is the cutest little knitted sweater design that I'm going to have to recreate on myself because it was just so stinking cute. So stay tuned for that set because y'all know I'm gonna get me some sweater nails. I ended up just taking some of that green color that I mixed, and we're doing little tiny like petal looking upside down teardrops type of vibes, connecting slightly into each other, not quite. There's like a space in between them, but they're just kind of layered, and it looks so cute, just so tiny, so dainty. I am adding a little bit of texture with the acrylic powder that I used as the base and pouring it on there to mattify it. Wish I could have kept it that way, but again, we ended up top coating it. So if you are wanting to leave it nice and texturized, always go in with a matte top coat underneath. You could even do shiny if you want like 2 sheens to it, and then go in with your nail art, add the powder, and then we cure in the light for a full 60 seconds. So note that the gel is still wet when I'm adding my acrylic powder to add that texture and thickness to the design. Now for this next nail, we're going to be doing a little 3D maple leaf. At least it kind of gives maple leaf vibes. I'm going to be using that orange color, and I added a little bit of that brown rust color to just give it like two-tone vibes. And then we're going to be pointing that center and then adding 2 little points at the sides. And we're going to repeat that on both of the sides of that first one that we're doing, adding a little stem, and I think it turned out so cute. I wish I would have like centered it just a smidge more, but it still ended up looking really, really cute. I'm going to be going in with Gloss It from Not Polish, adding that onto all of her nails. I am going around my 3D nail art that I did, and for those hard to reach areas, I just ended up putting some on my Artista palette, grabbed my liner, and we went in to all the little crevices. Luckily, I wasn't too crazy, so it didn't take me too much time or effort. And then, of course, we're going to be curing in the light for a full 60 seconds. I like to do 2 rounds just to be safe while I'm working on the other hand as well. And as always, I'm going to be adding some cuticle oil to her cuticles. But that pretty much concludes today's video. Let me know what you guys think down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned a ton. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye. This is for my day ones. Don't forget the ones I made, yeah. Deep side sweating out flavor. This is for my day
have that lip and